4% for the week that went by. But with that, let's also welcome the guests on our show today. And we are being joined by two guests on the show today. We have Sudip Bandyopadhyay, who's the Group Chairman at IndiTrade Capital, as well as Rajesh Palviya, Head of Technical and Derivative Research at Axis Securities. Gentlemen, welcome on the show today. Let me start by coming to you, Sudip, then. We've seen Nifty Bank was a real drag in Friday's trading session. So come next week, what levels are you spotting for Nifty Bank, and how are you seeing action panning out the Nifty Bank index?
Well, I think the pulling of the brake by RBI on this unsecured lending by banks and other lending institutions, I think is a welcome step. The way I look at it, medium to long term, this is good for the health of the sector, and probably RBI, for genuine reasons, was really concerned about the credit cycle turning in a bad manner, and they did a timely pulling of the plug so that things cool down a bit as far as unsecured lending is concerned. Obviously, short-term adjustments, short-term bit of a pain as far as some of the banks which were had significant exposure as far as unsecured lending is concerned. Capital adequacy comes down and they probably need to raise more money. They need to make the unsecured loans more costlier, which in turn probably will reduce the demand for unsecured loans. But these are short-term adjustments and probably is good for the health of the sector. And I won't read too much into it from a medium to long-term perspective. As far as the Nifty and the bank valuations next level, I think things will start coming back to normal. Look, State Bank of India will not have a major problem. The credit demand in other sectors also is strong. The capex requirement and the demand, corresponding credit demand, is increasing in the economy. So little bit of unsecured demand, loan demand coming down would not affect large banks like an HDFC Bank or a State Bank or ICICI Bank, even for that matter, some of the other small NBFCs as well. So I would be careful in selecting the banks and the NBFCs, which probably one needs to look at buying. Let's say an HDFC at around 1500 levels definitely look good. This adjustment by RBI would not have a medium-term impact on an HDFC Bank. They won't have an major impact on SBI as well. They won't have impact on, let's say, gold loan companies or a company like a Mahindra Finance, which predominantly is into secured lending. Now, if some NBFC is into unsecured lending, they would have some bit of a challenge, but not a company like a Mahindra Finance. So these are the stocks which I look at, and I will expect the Nifty Bank to start, gathering momentum once again towards the middle of next week.
Well, right. So that selective approach coming in for the banks, that's the word coming in from Sudeep. Good afternoon, gentlemen. This is Lisa on the other side. Rajesh, my question is to you. I want to know about the crude prices. How are they looking on the chart? Because if I look at the Brent crude price, now it is trending at around $78 per barrel. And crude oil today, it has fallen to a 4-month low, the lowest level since July. And this is on the back of rising inventories as well as weak demand coming in from China. So how do you look at the crude prices trending forward?
So looking at the crude price, yes, there is a significant supply pressure we have seen in last couple of trading sessions in the crude oil prices. Even if you look at the daily as well as the weekly setup, now crude oil, Brent crude is now approaching towards its multiple support zone area. That is at around 74, 73 level. That is very important on the downside for Brent crude. If at all crude breaks below 74 level, then we may see furthermore, pressure in the crude prices, and then it may fall further towards even 70 level, even 69 level also. But at this moment, 74 is the key important support area on the downside. If we talk about the higher side level, the major supply zone was at major resistance zone now at 83 level. So until crude not again regain above 83 level, it may remain under pressure, and maybe probably looking at the setup, yes, there is a possibility it may break below 74 also going forward. So I think trend is looking a little bearish for Brent crude, and we believe that sell on rise should be your strategy with stop loss of 83.
All right. So yes, stop loss of 83 coming in for crude prices. My next question goes to Sudeep. Sudeep, what about TCS? Because the record date has been announced for TCS, and that is on 25th November, and the share buyback that is amounting to around 17,000 crore. So how do you picturize it? What will it be for the retail investors?
Well, I think periodic buyback by large IT companies have become a matter of routine, and this is one of their ways of rewarding shareholders and setting a price benchmark which they think is appropriate for the stock. Market may or may not choose to go to that level. So I will say this is pretty much one of the routine occurrences which we have become used to as far as large IT companies are concerned. As far as overall IT is concerned, my focus have been for the last 12 to 6 months has been that focus on niche IT companies which are catering to sectors which are on a massive upswing. So let's say travel and tourism is on a major upswing. So focus on software companies, technology companies which are catering to travel and tourism. So let's say RateGain Technologies, Coforge definitely looks good for buying, even after all the upswing they have seen in the recent past. Let's say automobile industry and the transition to EV, that's on full swing. And the technology companies which are focusing on this segment of the industry, let's say KPIT, these are the companies one needs to look at, because these are companies which are servicing a growing demand, and this is where I think the focus of stock pickers should be, and we have been recommending buying in these stocks.
Absolutely, Sudeep. Thanks for that take coming in on the TCS buyback. But Rajesh, let me come back to you and let me ask you about the IT sector. Nifty IT on a whole was up 4.5% in the week that went by, and IT has not been performing since a very long time. But now we're seeing some recent performance coming in that sector. And even for this week, you had this surge coming in from the mid-cap IT names compared to the large-cap IT ones. So I want to ask you two questions. One is, where do you see the Nifty IT index headed next week? And second is, do you see any participation now? Are you foreseeing any participation from large cap names, or do you think the mid cap IT space will continue to remain a buzz?
Yeah, very strong price behavior in the current week for Nifty IT, almost 4%, 4.5% up week on week basis. Looking at the structure, yes, we do expect, furthermore momentum on the buying side we can see in the coming week for IT space, as most of the mid-cap IT, especially mid-cap IT, have performed well and managed to give breakout on the near term as well as on the short-term chart. So compared to large cap IT, mid-cap IT may get more traction on the buying side. If you talk about the large cap IT, yes, Infosys is looking attractive at this moment, and HCL Tech, these two stocks are looking promising at this moment from the large cap IT stock. And then we believe that Infosys and HCL Tech, these two stocks can do well in coming sessions, as structure for near term to short term is on the bullish side. We are projecting target for HCL Tech towards 1350, 1360 with stop loss of 1265, and Infosys we expect that this momentum can extend towards 1470 to 1490 in the continuation of this pullback with stop loss of 1400. From mid-cap IT space, our preferred choice would be Coforge. Very strong price action throughout the week, almost 10% gain. Now stock is approaching towards its previous swing high of September. And looking at the structure, we do believe that if stocks hold above 5600 level, then possibly this rally can extend further higher towards 5800 to 5900 in the continuation of this uptrend. And another stock that we like from mid-cap IT space, that is L&T Technology Services, LTTS, is also looking promising. Now stock is penetrating to its 50-day moving average. Looking at the near-term, short-term structure, we expect this stock can also move further higher towards 4600 kind of target. So one can look to buy this stock also with stop loss of 4400.
Well, so IT sector is structured towards a bullish stance. That's the word coming in from Rajesh. But with that, let's slip into a short break. But post the break, we get more clarity on the market going forward from a panel of experts. So stay tuned on the show.
Hi there, welcome back. Still watching Your Trades on ET now. Now we still have our guests on with us. Gentlemen, let me come back to you for questions. And Sudeep, let me come to you with a question on the IPOs. Markets have been doing well relatively in the week that went by, and we've got two major IPOs that are going to be opening for subscription. That's Tata Tech and REDA as well. So what are you seeing for these IPOs, and do you think both of them are worth subscribing to?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. A lot of these IPOs are doing well, and there's a lot of investor interest. Fundamentally, I think what has happened is there is lots of liquidity which is waiting to get deployed, and these IPOs, some of the IPOs which are from a good sector with good bunch of investors and a proven track record, are attracting a lot of investments from all segments, whether it's institutional, whether it's HNI, retail, and that's why we are seeing significant oversubscription. It's a good that some of these IPOs, most of these IPOs are getting listed at a significant premium to the IPO price, and the investors are making money straight away, and that enthuses more and more investors to come and participate. Now, coming specifically to next week's IPO, of course, the Tata Tech IPO is being watched, by pretty much everybody. This is an IPO from the House of Tatas after a very, very long time, and it's a real good pedigree. Yes, the valuation is probably a bit rich, but considering the potential, considering the track record, I think it will be worthwhile applying for this IPO. Whether one will get allotment or not is a matter of debate, and will depend on the oversubscription they garner. IREDA is another IPO which is again in the sector which is has got a lot of traction, a lot of excitement, and considering this excitement in the sector, and considering that the valuation looks fair here, I would say that it is worthwhile investing in this, not only for a immediate flip, but for a long-term holding. So yes, both the IPOs do look good and a lot of excitement, and I strongly believe that both the IPOs will garner enough and more subscription, and probably we'll see exciting times post-listing as well for these IPOs.
Well, that was a bullish take on both the IPOs. Sudeep, coming to you again, I want to know about how the FIIs will trend going forward, because the last 2 days we have seen, the selling kind of getting abated, and they have turned into buyers. So how will this trend forward? Will FIIs turn into buyers, or will they wait for the elections, to get over and then turn out to be full-fledged buyers for the Indian market?
I think what's happening in the US is the inflation there has come down significantly. This is much better than what the expectations was, and this probably junks the theory higher for longer. Pretty much most of the analysts, most of the experts there are talking about probably 100 basis point reduction in interest rates in the next calendar year. Anywhere between 75 to 100 basis point reduction. So very clearly, this is a very, very positive factor as far as foreign investors are concerned when they are looking at investing in risk assets, which include emerging markets like India. The second factor, which again I would mention here, is the sharp drop in crude oil prices over the last few sessions. And now it's hovering around 77, 78. Now this does improve India's fiscal situation significantly, and investors will definitely watch this as well. Now, combine these two factors, India becomes very attractive from an investor's point of view once again. Now, you talked about the elections, but by and large, I think at 24 general elections, people are at this stage predicting stability and expecting continuation. Under the circumstances, we believe that FIIs will come back, and that's pretty much what we have seen. The initial signs of that, the selling has abated. They have reduced the short positions significantly in the market, and that does shows that they are becoming bullish on Indian market once again. Now, one factor I would just mention here is that China continues to be a comparatively cheaper market, and there is a tactical trade as far as Chinese equities are concerned. So short-term investors may look at China at this stage. However, medium to long-term strategic investors will definitely look at India only.
Thanks for that take coming in. Rajesh, let me come to you now. And what are the stocks that have made it to your radar for the next week? Could you quickly take us through what you're spotting for us?
Definitely. So railway stocks have done well in this session, and most of the stocks has shown good traction in terms of buying. IRCTC is one stock where we feel that furthermore upside we can see in coming week. If you look at the technical setup, the stock managed to give breakout of its falling trend line on daily chart. Stock is now comfortably closed above its 50-day moving average. Long build-up was there in the derivative data. So looking at IRCTC, we expect 736 could be the next target in coming week with stop loss of 685. The second stock that we like is from auto ancillary, that is from battery space. Exide Industry is looking promising. Now stock managed to give breakout of its previous swing high of September. And looking at the weekly chart, this is the third consecutive week where stock is forming higher high-low formation. That clearly shows sustained buying is there. So Exide Industry, one can buy for upside target of 295. Stop loss is 273. And the third stock, that is from pharma space. All pharma stocks have done well. Pharma healthcare, the sector where we see good traction. And looking at the buying interest in most of the pharma stuff, Aurobindo Pharma we have selected for the coming week. There is a clear outperformance. And looking at the monthly as well as the weekly chart, there is a strong buying action. So Aurobindo Pharma one can buy for upside target of 1040. Keep your stop loss at 985.
Well, thank you, Rajesh, for all those three picks that you have highlighted, IRCTC, Exide, as well as Auro Pharma. So thank you for your time, gentlemen, Rajesh as well as Sudeep, for sharing your outlook on the market going forward. But now let's listen into Nilesh Shah, who's the MD as well as the CEO of Envision Capital, as well as Sunil Singhania, who is the founder of Abacus Asset Manager, on their view on the broad